Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take huge stacks of information, really complex topics, and boil them down to the most useful, maybe surprising, and definitely actionable insights just for you.
Exactly. We do the heavy lifting, sift through the sources so you get the core ideas without, spending weeks reading.
And today, wow, we're plunging into a concept that feels both ancient, like deeply human, but also incredibly relevant right now. It's something people whisper about, maybe even fear a little, but often don't fully grasp.
There's that famous quote from Carl Jung, the Swiss
Oh
psychiatrist.
yeah, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Powerful stuff.
Really makes you think, doesn't it?
It does. So just imagine for a second, what if those parts of yourself, the ones you try really hard to ignore, to push down, what if they actually hold the key? The key to unlocking maybe your most authentic life.
What if bringing those hidden aspects out, into the light isn't just some psychological exercise, but
Yeah.
actually a path to real freedom?
That's exactly what we're digging into today. We're exploring shadow work. It's this powerful, very personal practice. It's all about integrating those parts of your personality you might have disowned or maybe never even realized were there.
And our mission, like always on the deep dive, is pretty clear. We've gone through a whole stack of sources. We're talking foundational Jungian psychology texts, modern journals, practical guides on personal growth, the whole lot.
Yeah, and we're pulling out the absolute gold nuggets, the most important insights on shadow work. The goal is really to give you a shortcut, a way to get well informed on this, well, often misunderstood topic.
And hopefully we'll uncover some surprising facts along the way, maybe add just enough humor to keep it engaging, because let's be honest, this can feel like heavy territory sometimes.
Absolutely. So over the next, say, 20 to 30 minutes, here's the plan. We're going to define what this shadow actually is. We'll trace it back to Carl Jung, where the idea really took shape.
Then we'll look at how it shows up. In your daily life, often in ways you don't even consciously notice, how it affects your reactions, your relationships, even how you see yourself.
And then this is the really exciting part. We get into the benefits, the profound benefits of actually engaging with your shadow.
Yeah.
Because it's not just navel gazing, right? It's about reclaiming parts of yourself, stepping into a more whole way of being.
Definitely. And we won't leave you hanging. We'll provide practical, actionable ways you can start your own shadow work journey. Plus, we'll touch on some common roadblocks and maybe clear up some misconceptions people have.
And just to be super clear why you should care about this isn't just academic theory. Understanding your shadow,
Yeah.
working with it. It's
Yeah.
not about collecting cool psych concepts.
No, it's really about cultivating deeper self-awareness, like genuine self-awareness. It's about improving your relationships because you start to understand where your own reactions are actually coming from.
It can even boost your creativity by tapping into energy you might have suppressed. And ultimately, it's about moving from feeling kind of stuck or maybe inauthentic.
It feeling genuinely empowered to live a more authentic, whole, and fulfilling life. It's about bringing your entire self, the good, the bad, the messy, all of it, to the table, becoming truly whole.
Okay, so let's dive in. To really start, we need to go back to Jung. How did he define this shadow?
Well, he described it as an unconscious part of the personality, specifically the part that the ego, our conscious self, doesn't identify with.
So it's like the stuff we don't want to admit is us.
Exactly. It's often called the dark side. It
Yeah.
holds those primitive, maybe less socially acceptable human emotions and impulses. Things like, raw rage, envy, greed, selfishness, intense desire, even the drive for power.
The stuff we're taught isn't nice or good.
Right. But here's what's absolutely critical and where people often get it wrong. The shadow isn't only about the obviously bad things.
Okay, tell me more.
Everything we deny in ourselves becomes part of it. Anything we see as inferior or unacceptable or just plain inconvenient for the image we want to project.
So anything that doesn't fit our self-image.
Precisely. If you pride yourself on being, say, super logical and unemotional, then any feelings of vulnerability or intense passion you experience might get pushed into the shadow because they clash with that conscious identity.
Okay. That makes sense. It's the repository for anything incompatible with who we think we are or who we want to be.
You got it. And here's the really mind-blowing part, the bit that often surprises people.
Yeah.
The shadow isn't inherently negative. It's not just darkness. It also holds incredibly positive qualities, strengths, capacities, potential that we haven't recognized or owned.
Wait, positive stuff? Like what?
Yeah. Jungians sometimes call this the golden shadow. Think about qualities you really admire in other people, maybe someone's confidence or their spontaneity, their creativity, their sheer joy.
Things you maybe feel a little envious of.
Exactly. That strong admiration, sometimes even envy, can be a huge clue. It might be pointing to your own unlived potential, aspects of your own golden shadow that you've repressed. Maybe someone told you as a kid you were too loud or too sensitive or too ambitious, so you shut down those parts.
Wow. So we push away the good stuff too. Why would we do that?
It's fascinating, isn't it? Often because embracing those positive traits would challenge our existing self-image, the story we tell ourselves. Or it would force us out of our comfort zone. Maybe owning your creativity feels risky, or stepping into confidence feels scary.
So we admire it in others instead of cultivating it ourselves.
Right. Think about the energy you spend admiring someone else's confidence. Jung would say that's energy that could be used to develop your own. It reminds me of that other Jung quote.
Which one?
One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious.
Ah, yes.
The latter procedure, however, is disagreeable and therefore not popular. It speaks right to this. It's hard work facing this stuff, both the light and the dark we've hidden.
And when we don't face it, when we keep denying these parts.
That creates what's called the disowned self. These are pieces of us we basically refuse to claim, and if they stay unintegrated, Jung believed it leads to this kind of constant, low-grade psychic war inside us.
A psychic war. That sounds dramatic, but I think I know what you mean. It's not always explosions, right?
Yeah.
It can be subtle.
Totally subtle. It's that feeling of inner conflict. Like you consciously want to do one thing, maybe pursue a passion, set a boundary, but you find yourself doing the exact opposite, almost compulsively.
Or just that constant hum of anxiety because different parts of you are pulling in different directions. Wanting connection but fearing vulnerability, for example.
Exactly. That internal tug of war just drains your energy. It keeps you from feeling truly aligned or authentic.
Right.
So, okay, knowing that, how does this shadow actually get built in the first place? It's not like we're born with it fully formed.
Right. It starts early, doesn't it? Childhood seems key.
Absolutely. One huge factor right from the get-go is societal norms, the pressure to conform. We learn really young what society deems acceptable or unacceptable.
Like boys don't cry or good girls are quiet.
Precisely. If showing anger gets labeled bad, you learn to bury it. If vulnerability is seen as weakness, you learn to put up a strong front. These rules, often unspoken, teach us which parts of ourselves to hide away. We push them into the shadows, sometimes before we even know we're doing it.
And family plays a massive role in that too, right? Our caregivers.
Oh, pivotal. Kids are masters of adaptation. They figure out pretty quickly what behaviors get them love, approval, attention from the important adults in their lives.
So if crying got you scolded.
You might learn to suppress sadness or hide when you feel vulnerable. Associate those feelings with disapproval.
Or if, say, achievement was the only thing that got praised in your house.
You might push down your natural need for rest or play or just being. You might start associating those things with being lazy or unworthy because they didn't get rewarded. Over time, these unexpressed, unaccepted parts become solid fixtures in your shadow.
And they end up influencing our adult lives without us even realizing the connection back to childhood.
Exactly. And beyond those early dynamics, personal trauma is another major shaper of the shadow.
And trauma doesn't always mean one huge catastrophic event, right? It can be smaller things too.
Definitely. It can be major events, sure, but also a series of smaller hurts, neglect, consistent criticism. Harsh comment from a teacher about your drawing could lead you to bury your creativity out of fear of judgment.
Or being betrayed by a friend could make you push down your need for connection, leading to isolation later on.
Right. These experiences create shadow aspects rooted in fear, shame, or the need for self-protection. We build walls, but sometimes those walls end up trapping vital parts of ourselves inside.
And underneath a lot of this hiding and repressing, is there a core fear driving it?
Very often, yes. A really deep-seated human fear. The fear of abandonment, of rejection.
Not wanting to be kicked out of the tribe, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Whether the tribe is our family, our friend group, our colleagues, our community, we have this fundamental need to belong. So we instinctively mold ourselves to fit in. We suppress the parts that feel different or unacceptable, even if it means sacrificing our authenticity along the way.
The irony being that in trying so hard to be accepted, we sometimes lose touch with the very self that wants that connection.
That's the tragic paradox, isn't it?
Okay, so we've got a good handle now on what the shadow is, how it's formed through society, family, trauma, this fear of rejection. Now let's zoom out again, like you said, and look at Jung's bigger picture, his map of the psyche. Where does the shadow fit in all that?
Right. So Jung's model is fascinating. At the top, you have the ego. That's our conscious mind, our sense of I. It's what we're aware of day to day, our thoughts, feelings, memories we can access. It provides our sense of identity and continuity.
The part we usually think of as us.
Exactly. But the ego also plays a big role in resisting shadow work. It likes its story, its consistent self-image. It built that identity, often for good reasons, for survival. So acknowledging parts that contradict that story can feel threatening, like an attack on its very existence.
So the goal isn't to get rid of the ego.
No, not at all. It's about expanding its awareness, helping it become flexible enough to integrate the parts it previously pushed away for self-preservation, making it a more conscious manager, if you like.
Okay. So beneath the ego.
Lies the personal unconscious. This is unique to each of us. Think of it like your own personal hidden basement. It holds everything you've forgotten, repressed, or experiences you weren't fully conscious of when they happened. Memories, desires, fears.
Stuff we're not aware of, but it's still influencing us.
Absolutely. It's like this invisible current shaping our thoughts, feelings, behaviors, even our physical sensations without us consciously directing it.
And within that personal unconscious, Jung talked about complexes, right?
Yeah.
What are those exactly?
They're more than just forgotten memories. They're like emotionally charged clusters of ideas, feelings, and memories, all linked to a particular theme, often stemming from past experiences, especially emotionally intense ones.
Can you give an example?
Sure. The classic one is public speaking anxiety. Maybe you had a really embarrassing moment giving a presentation in school. Even if you don't consciously remember the specifics, that experience could form a complex.
So later in life, just the idea of speaking in public triggers intense anxiety.
Exactly. The complex holds all the original fear, shame, maybe physical sensations from that event, and it gets activated in similar situations, often creating a reaction that feels way out of proportion to the current reality.
Wow. Our sources called them puppet masters. That feels pretty accurate.
It really does, because they can hijack our responses. They operate unconsciously, distorting how we see things, creating repetitive patterns like always choosing the wrong partner or constantly self-sabotaging success. They whisper these fixed narratives, I'm not good enough, people can't be trusted, I always fail.
And the less we're aware of them, the more power they have.
Precisely. Shadow work often involves bringing these complexes into conscious awareness so they lose their grip.
Okay, so ego, personal unconscious with its complexes. But Jung went even deeper, didn't he?
He did. He proposed the collective unconscious. This isn't personal, it's universal. A deeper layer shared by all humans across all cultures and times. It's inherited, like a psychic blueprint.
Inherited. How does that work?
It contains these fundamental human instincts, patterns of behavior, and universal symbolic meanings. Think about why myths and fairy tales from completely different parts of the world often have such similar themes and characters.
Like the hero's journey or the wise old mentor figure or creation stories.
Exactly. Jung believed those similarities come from the collective unconscious. It's this shared psychic inheritance.
And that's where the archetypes come in.
Precisely. Archetypes are these universal patterns or symbols housed within the collective unconscious. They manifest as recurring characters or themes in our myths, dreams, and even our behavior. The mother archetype, the hero, the trickster, the wise old man.
And the shadow is one of those archetypes.
Yes, a crucial one. Jung saw the shadow archetype as this universal blind spot in the human psyche. It represents the aspects of human nature that humanity collectively has found difficult, dangerous, or unacceptable, and has therefore repressed over millennia.
Wow. Okay, so it's personal and collective. Now, how does this relate to how we present ourselves? You mentioned the persona earlier.
Right, the persona. This is another key archetype, and it's helpful to contrast it with the shadow. The persona is our social mask. It's the face we show the world, the roles we play to fit in, to be accepted, to function in society.
Like being the good employee or the responsible parent or the fun friend.
Exactly. It's like the public relations agent for our ego. We need a persona. It helps us navigate social situations.
But problems arise when?
When we over-identify with it. When we mistake the mask for our actual face. When we can't take it off.
Like the teacher who acts like a teacher everywhere, even at home.
Perfect example. Or the tough CEO who can't access their vulnerability even with loved ones. They become rigid, inauthentic, cut off from the other parts of themselves, including their shadow, but also other positive aspects that don't fit the persona.
Jung also mentioned the anima and animus, right?
Hmm.
Briefly, what are those?
Yeah, those are the unconscious feminine aspects in men, anima, and masculine aspects in women,
Yeah.
animus. They represent the contrasexual side of our psyche. Like the shadow, they often show up first through projection.
Projection. That seems like a really key mechanism here for how the shadow operates.
It's fundamental. Projection is the main way our unintegrated shadow makes itself known. It's an unconscious defense mechanism where we take parts of ourselves, especially the ones we've disowned, and attribute them to other people.
So when I get really irritated by someone,
That irritation might be a clue. You might be projecting a disowned part of your own shadow onto them. It works for positive qualities. Too intense, almost irrational admiration can also be a projection, maybe of your golden shadow.
and it stops us from actually seeing the other person clearly.
Totally. You are not relating to them. You're relating to the projected piece of yourself. It's like arguing with your own reflection in a distorted mirror without realizing it.
Can you give some everyday examples of projection?
Oh, they're everywhere once you start looking. Harshly judging someone's lifestyle choice, maybe thinking they're lazy or irresponsible. That judgment might mask your own repressed desire for more freedom or less self-criticism.
Or people who are hypercritical online, the trolls.
Classic projection, often. They might be projecting their own deep insecurities about talent or intelligence onto others. Or think about someone with a really short fuse, especially with people they see as below them. That anger could be masking their own unconscious feelings of powerlessness.
What about always feeling like the victim, blaming everyone else?
Strong projection often at play there too. It's easier to project blame outwards than to take responsibility for one's own part in a situation. It keeps the ego's self-image intact as good or innocent.
And biases, prejudice,
Yeah.
like racism or sexism.
Huge collective shadow projection.
Sure.
It's easier to project undesirable traits onto an entire group, the other, than to confront those uncomfortable possibilities within ourselves or our own group. It creates this us versus them dynamic fueled by denied shadow material.
That story about the little girl blaming her brother for running away really hits home.
Doesn't it? She couldn't handle the discomfort of her own actions, so she projected the blame onto him to preserve her good girl image with her mom, even though it hurt him. We do adult versions of that all the time.
Which brings us back to that Solzhenitsyn quote. The line dividing good and evil cuts through the heart of every human being. Facing the shadow means confronting that line within ourselves.
Exactly. It's about owning our piece of that line.
Okay, so we see how it works, how it manifests. But let's get to the payoff. Why go through this uncomfortable process? Why does shadow work matter so much? What are the real benefits of integration?
This is where it gets really motivating. The benefits are truly transformative, according to our sources. First off, you gain deep self-awareness and authenticity, like really knowing yourself.
That's on the surface level.
Way beyond. By uncovering those ignored parts, you get a much clearer picture of who you actually are, your real strengths, your actual weaknesses, your true desires, what genuinely drives you. It helps you peel away the layers of the false self built up by conditioning.
And move towards your true self.
Exactly, your core, authentic essence. And this leads directly to emotional healing and resilience. When you start addressing buried emotions, acknowledging old wounds, bringing them into the light, it releases so much trapped energy.
Energy that was being used to keep that stuff down.
Precisely. Our sources even link things like chronic repressed anger to physical pain. So integrating this stuff can literally free up enormous amounts of psychic energy. You feel lighter, more peaceful, more resilient when challenges hit.
And relationships. How does it impact those?
Massively. When you understand your own shadow, your triggers, your patterns, your projections, you develop so much more empathy. First for yourself, which is crucial, and then naturally for others.
Because you recognize the same struggles in them.
Exactly. You become less reactive, less judgmental. Communication becomes more open, conflict resolution more effective, because you're not constantly triggered by your own unacknowledged stuff being reflected back at you. You build deeper, more genuine connections.
It sounds like it leads to real personal empowerment and growth, too.
Huge empowerment. Integrating the shadow means you're operating from a place of greater wholeness. You feel more confident because you're not hiding parts of yourself. You can embrace your uniqueness, make choices aligned with your true values, and move forward with more purpose.
And you mentioned earlier that true psychological integration is actually pretty rare.
Yeah, some developmental research suggests very few people reach that fully integrated stage of adulthood. Shadow work is seen as a critical path towards that kind of psychological maturity and self-actualization.
What about creativity? You mentioned that briefly.
Yes. Psychologists like Maslow found that highly integrated, self-actualizing people tend to be spontaneously creative. When you dissolve those internal blocks and integrate suppressed energy, your natural creativity can flow much more freely. It's like unkinking a hose.
And just seeing things more clearly, like reality.
Definitely. Clearer perception. When you reduce the distorting lens of your own projections and self-deception, you see yourself, other people, and situations much more objectively. You can make more realistic assessments, respond more appropriately, less reactively. You operate from a place of greater neutrality.
It makes sense, but what about that good person problem you mentioned? People who strongly identify as good.
Right. The good person dilemma. It's a common trap. People work hard to maintain that identity, so they unconsciously filter out anything, thoughts, feelings, actions that contradicts it.
Which actually makes the shadow denser.
Exactly. It intensifies the split. And paradoxically, these individuals can end up causing harm precisely because they're so disconnected from their own shadow impulses. They aren't aware of their projections, their passive aggression, their judgments, because it doesn't fit the good person narrative. It prevents real self-awareness and growth.
Okay, the benefits are compelling. Deep self-awareness, healing, better relationships, empowerment, creativity, clearer perception.
Yeah.
So how do we actually do it? What's a practical path?
Right, the how-to. First, it's crucial to understand the core attitudes needed for this journey. It's not about quick fixes or perfection, it's about wholeness. And that takes intention, patience, and a whole lot of self-compassion.
So what are those core attitudes?
Jung stressed sincerity. You have to genuinely want to know yourself, flaws and all. He called it moral effort. It's not enough to just read books or talk about it. You have to be willing to look honestly.
Avoid the lip service trap.
Exactly. Engaging superficially can actually increase self-deception. Then, curiosity. Approaching your inner world like an explorer, open to whatever you find, the good and the ugly, without immediate judgment. Curiosity is a great antidote to fear and resistance.
And it takes effort, right? It's not passive.
Definitely. Effort and commitment. Resistance is natural. Old patterns are comfy. So you need discipline to stick with it, to keep choosing awareness, especially when it gets uncomfortable. It's about those daily ego confrontations, noticing and gently challenging your automatic reactions and assumptions.
What about just having the bandwidth for it?
That's key too. Energy and attention. Inner work takes focus. If you're constantly overwhelmed by external demands, it's hard to find the mental and emotional space. Jung noted this kind of inner work often happens more naturally in the second half of life, perhaps when some external pressures ease up.
And being able to observe yourself without getting swept away.
Yes, cultivating the center, as Jungians call it. The ability to be the observer of your thoughts, feelings, and impulses without being totally identified with them or possessed by them, like stepping back and watching the inner movie instead of being lost in the drama. Mindfulness practices can really help build this capacity.
Okay, so with those attitudes, sincerity, curiosity, effort, energy, the observer stance, what are some actual practices people can start with?
One of the most fundamental is simple self-reflection and self-awareness. Carving out quiet time regularly. Paying attention. Noticing patterns in your thoughts, your feelings, your reactions, even your body sensations. Asking yourself, what am I avoiding right now? What's triggering me? Why did I react so strongly?
And journaling seems to come up again and again in the sources.
Hugely important. Journaling is like having a completely private, non-judgmental confidant. It's a space for radical honesty. You can do stream of consciousness like Julia Cameron's morning pages, just dumping whatever's in your head onto the page.
Or use specific prompts.
Yeah, prompts are great for focus. Things like, what situations or people trigger intense reactions in me? What's the feeling underneath? When do I find myself judging others harshly? What might that judgment say about a part of me I deny? What emotions do I tend to avoid or numb? Who do I envy, and what qualities do they have that might represent my own unlived potential, golden shadow? What childhood patterns are still playing out? What do I need to forgive myself for? Just writing it down can bring amazing clarity.
What about that mirror exercise? That sounds really powerful for catching projections.
It really is super practical. Step 1. Notice when you have a strong emotional charge towards someone, positive or negative. Irritation, anger, intense admiration, envy.
Okay, notice the charge.
Step 2. Ask the key question. What does this reaction tell me about me? If someone's confidence irritates you, is it touching your own insecurity or suppressed desire to be bolder? If their perceived laziness bugs you, is it reflecting your own disowned need for rest?
So connect the external reaction to an internal, possibly denied part.
Exactly. Step 3. Acknowledge that part in yourself, gently. Okay, there's a part of me that wishes I could rest more. Or there's a part of me that fears being judged if I speak up. Step 4, integrate it with a small action. If it's about rest, schedule a short break. If it's confidence, maybe share one small opinion in a low-stakes situation. It makes the insight real.
That's very concrete. What about digging into the emotions themselves?
Emotional inquiry. Go deeper than just naming the feeling. When a strong emotion comes up, pause, ask, what exactly am I feeling? Why might I be feeling this? What thought or belief is tangled up with this feeling? Like anger tied to, they don't respect me. Does this remind me of past situations? And crucially, can I just allow myself to feel this sensation in my body without fighting it or needing to immediately fix it? Let it move through.
And the role reversal technique, how does that work?
This is great for untangling projections, especially in difficult relationships. You choose someone you have strong feelings about. Then you imagine having a conversation, but you actually speak as them. Voice their perspective, their feelings, their intentions as you imagine them. It can be incredibly eye-opening about what you've been projecting onto them or misunderstandings you've had.
Dreams. Jung was big on dreams, right?
Absolutely. Dream analysis. He saw dreams as direct messages from the unconscious, offering insights into our shadows, desires, fears, everything. Especially recurring dreams, those are like the unconscious knocking louder saying, pay attention.
So what do? Just write them down.
Writing them down immediately upon waking is key, even fragments. Note the key images, characters, actions, and especially the feeling tone of the dream. You don't need to be a Freudian analyst. Often just reflecting on the feelings and symbols can spark powerful insights about what your unconscious is trying to balance or bring to your attention.
What about things like movies or books?
Analyzing favorite stories, myths, movies, the characters we strongly identify with, heroes and villains, or the stories that deeply move us often reflect parts of our own inner landscape, including shadow aspects or unlived potential. Asking, what characteristics in this hero do I admire but feel I lack? Or what is it about this villain that fascinates or repels me so strongly? Can reveal hidden parts of ourselves.
And inner child work seems crucial since so much shadow forms early on.
Definitely. It involves consciously connecting with and reparenting the wounded parts of your younger self. Through things like guided meditations, journaling to your inner child, or visualization, you offer the understanding, validation, or comfort that might have been missing back then. It helps heal those old wounds so they stop driving adult behavior unconsciously.
What if you're more artistic?
Creative expression is fantastic for shadow work. Painting, drawing, music, dance, writing poetry. These allow you to bypass the logical mind and express emotions and explore vulnerabilities in a nonverbal way. The act of creating can unlock insights and release pent-up energy from the shadow.
And there was that structured process mentioned, the 3-2-1 thing.
Yeah, Ken Wilber's 3-2-1 shadow process. It's very methodical. Step 1, pick someone who triggers a strong charge in you, positive or negative. Step 2, face it. Describe their triggering qualities in the third person. He is so arrogant. Step 3, talk to it. Have a dialogue with that quality in the second person. Why are you so arrogant? Step 4, be it. Embody the quality in the first person. I am arrogant, I feel. This helps you own the projection.
That sounds intense but effective.
It can be, and that brings us to a really important point. Sometimes you need help. Professional therapeutic support.
When is that especially important?
If the emotions coming up feel overwhelming, if you're dealing with significant trauma, experiencing severe anxiety or depression, or having really disturbing nightmares, a therapist trained in depth psychology or Jungian approaches can provide a safe container, expert guidance, and tools to navigate the really challenging stuff without getting destabilized. They help you integrate, not just dig.
Okay, that's a great toolkit. But let's be real. This isn't all sunshine and roses. What are the challenges people face? What are the deeper implications?
Absolutely. Honesty is key here. The first major challenge is simply the discomfort of confrontation. Facing parts of yourself you've denied or judged is, well, uncomfortable. It can feel dark, confusing, even scary. It takes real courage to look at your own hidden attitudes, dark thoughts, difficult emotions without immediately shutting down.
And the ego fights back, right? Resistance.
Yeah. Okay. Resistance is totally natural. The ego built its identity for a reason, often for protection. So when you start challenging that identity, it pushes back. You get thoughts like, no, that's not me. Or you suddenly feel bored or tired when you try to reflect. Overcoming resistance requires that sincerity and persistence we talked about. It's a constant negotiation.
Now, what about the bigger picture? The collective shadow.
This is where it gets really broad. Just like individuals repress things, whole societies do too. The collective shadow holds the darkness. Humanity denies greed, hatred, violence, prejudice. We see it manifest in things like systemic inequality, environmental destruction driven by greed, scapegoating entire groups, warfare.
Things that seem too big for one person to tackle.
They can feel that way, but the crucial insight is that society is made of individuals. We project our collective shadow onto enemies or others to justify conflict or maintain an illusion of our own group's righteousness. Think about racism, nationalism, religious extremism.
So individual work actually impacts the collective.
Profoundly. Every time an individual integrates a piece of their own shadow, they become less reactive, less likely to project negativity, more capable of empathy and conscious action. This has ripple effects. Healthier individuals create healthier families, communities, and ultimately, a healthier world. That idea of save your shadow self, save the world might sound grand, but there's deep truth in it. Your inner work contributes to collective healing.
And a final warning sign to watch out for.
Avoidance and spiritual bypassing. Be wary of any approach that promises enlightenment or bliss without the hard work of facing your own depths. Sometimes spiritual ideas or positive thinking are used to avoid dealing with uncomfortable truths or emotions.
Just pasting over the cracks.
Exactly. True integration requires doing the work, not just reading about it or adopting spiritual jargon. It requires facing the discomfort, applying the practices, and making real changes in awareness and behavior. Otherwise, the unaddressed shadow will just keep running the show from behind the scenes.
So, to wrap this all up, we've journeyed deep into the shadow. We've defined it as those hidden parts, dark and golden. We've seen how it forms from childhood, society, trauma. We've placed it on Jung's map of the psyche and seen how projection makes it visible.
And we've really highlighted why this matters, the incredible benefits. Deep self-awareness, real emotional healing, stronger relationships, genuine empowerment, creativity, clarity. It's a path towards wholeness, toward your true self.
We've also given you a whole toolkit of practical ways to start self-reflection, journaling, the mirror exercise, emotional inquiry, dream work, creative expression, and knowing when to seek professional support. Always remembering those core attitudes: sincerity, curiosity, effort, and self-compassion.
Because integrating the shadow isn't about perfection, it's about wholeness. It leads to less inner conflict, a more flexible sense of self, and allows you to live from a place of greater authenticity. The rewards, though the path can be challenging, are truly immense and lasting.
So our invitation to you is to maybe just start small. Pick one thing. Try journaling one prompt, notice one strong reaction, and try the mirror exercise in your head. Be kind to yourself. This is a marathon, not a sprint. Consistent, compassionate baby steps.
It's a lifelong process of becoming more conscious.
And maybe leave you with this thought. It really summed it up. Joseph Campbell said, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek."
And Debbie Ford put it beautifully too. Your shadow is the greatest gift you will ever have, and it will be the greatest teacher in your life.
Facing what's hidden inside. It's maybe the bravest, most rewarding journey you can take towards a life that feels truly integrated, truly authentic, truly yours. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.